You know that feeling, staring at your screen, knowing you should be making progress, but instead you feel stuck and overwhelmed. Another day where your to-do list grows longer, but your energy is quickly draining away. You've tried everything. You've tried productivity apps, time blocking, even meditation, and yet you still struggle to consistently reach the level of productivity that you know you're capable of. And every day that you don't, it's another knock to your level of self-efficacy. Let's be honest about what's really happening in your professional life. Every day you face mounting complexity that demands more of your mental bandwidth. Critical decisions are piling up and creative solutions are expected immediately. And all the while, you battle the constant fear that you're falling behind. To make it worse, your peers and competitors seem to be producing breakthrough work on demand. But the real cost isn't just productivity, it's in your confidence. Each day when your performance falls short of your potential, it chips away at your professional identity. You begin questioning whether you can maintain the level of outward success that you have reached, and that doesn't even touch what the overwhelm and all the second guessing is doing to your personal life. But there is a reason for this cycle of frustration. And more importantly, there is a way out. Thankfully, the solution is not working harder. It's understanding and activating specific flow triggers. Once you understand how to use them, it's like having the combination to unlock your own personal peak performance vault. And I know if you're like most of my clients when they come to me, you've probably tried every biohack out there. But trust me, these triggers aren't just theory. They are based on decades and decades of research studying peak performers across every field. The exciting part, these triggers work just as well in the boardroom as they do on mountain peaks with elite skiers and on concert stages with your favorite bands that hit that flow state in the best jam session you've ever heard. If you're a business professional who needs to find deep focus in distracting environments and be able to access creative solutions under pressure, all the while maintaining high performance levels of problem solving during challenging projects, then learning these flow triggers will become your secret weapon. The best part is many of these triggers are already present in your work environment. They just need to be activated intentionally. So here are the 4 most powerful triggers for professionals. The first one is challenge skills balance. Now, this is the sweet spot where the task is just slightly beyond your current ability. It ups the challenge and creates a natural motivation and engagement while automatically telling your brain, you've got to focus, you've got to pay more attention to the task at hand. Second is having clear goals. We went into great detail about this on our Flow Prone video here in our Flow Mastery series. So if you want full instruction on this, just find the link in the description on the Mastery series. But in essence, having clear goals means not just project outcomes, but immediate next step execution in the project you're working on. This eliminates that decision fatigue. Having a clear micro step execution plan sets up your desire to continue on the path. The path is clear, so you can easily see and execute on the next target ahead. And this keeps dopamine's powerful goal pursuit loop running, compelling you forward the whole time. Third is getting immediate feedback. When I started utilizing Flow about 18 months to 2 years ago, this was something I completely underestimated, but it is super powerful because getting that immediate feedback lets you know whether you're on the right track or to quickly change paths so you don't get delayed or overwhelmed because you're not focusing on the right thing. Lastly, deep embodiment in the task is super important. You want to use your physical environment to support focus. And then creating a trigger-rich and distraction-removed environment, it becomes key for this 4th element. So besides the technique that I call wake to work, which I've taught you guys in the past, one of the things that I utilize to get this deep embodiment and connection to my work is working in the outdoors. So one of the ways I do this is I set up my tablet to not be able to access anything except for what I need for the current project. And then I grab my day planner and any other tools I need for that project. We get in the car, I drive a few minutes from my home up the canyon, and I find a place where I feel completely submerged in the outdoors, a little picnic area that's right by the river. I just pull out my stuff, and that energy and connectiveness and expansiveness of nature helps me drop into flow so easily that I can get hours and hours and hours of deep work done. And best of all, for whatever reason, the outdoors actually really energizes me as well. So even though I'm using massive amount of calories and all the brain activity that I'm using in this state of flow, I come out of the session truly energized and excited about the work that I'm doing. But I live here in the Rocky Mountains, so it's not always so easy to just run out to nature. So another way that creates a deep embodiment that you can utilize, whether you have a nice canyon or nature near you, is to use specific sounds or the lack of sound. And what I mean by this is a lot of people like to use earplugs or noise canceling headphones to make everything completely silent. That allows them to kind of go deeper within inside themselves. For myself personally, I use music that is embedded with isochronic or binaural beats, and that music allows me to really focus in. The sounds themselves kind of distract my squirrel brain just enough that it's not chasing things we don't need to chase, and I can get my laser focus on the project at hand. But out of all of these, I'd say that developing an environment and a system for handling those intrusive, distractive thoughts when attempting the deep, focused work is probably the most important tool. I've already covered some clinically proven ways to do this. So if you missed that, just find the link to the free mini course on these techniques in the show notes below. I'll make sure that that's included there. If you're struggling with this stumbling block to elite performance, then learning these tools are a must. So check out that link for sure. So here's a quick win to try today. It's what's called the 4% rule. When I learned this from Steven Kotler, I really thought 4%, that seems kind of strange. But what it does is it takes your current task and it increases your challenge by a level of roughly 4%. This can easily be accomplished by just setting a slightly tighter deadline for yourself, or maybe adding an additional element of quality, maybe an edge on the project that you don't feel like you've quite mastered yet. So it's going to require you to challenge yourself just a little bit more. Or maybe it's tackling a harder aspect of the project first, so you're able to kind of get that ramped up in that 4% grade and then be able to coast through the rest of the project. This tiny 4% shift triggers flow by creating just enough pressure that it demands full engagement. It's kind of like when you put yourself in a procrastination situation where now you're up against the wall, the deadline's there, and you've got to perform. And so miraculously, the thing that you have been putting off is able to get done in a matter of hours. That same kind of pressure created purposely actually is very helpful. It's far less messy in your life than procrastination is, and it doesn't destroy your stress and cortisol levels either. So here's a silly little tip. For the boring work that I know I'm highly distracted on, I actually add 4% complexity by just getting on the treadmill. I take my tablet or my phone, whichever is going to be best for the project I'm on. I get on the treadmill. I make myself walk just fast enough that I have to pay attention to my feet or I might slip and fall. And then I do that boring work. My feet on that treadmill is just enough distraction that my brain has to focus on doing it so it can't start following all the little rabbit trails that like to run around in my brain when I'm doing the work that is really required in my business, but not the fun stuff. For harder tasks, something that really works well for me, and also my clients have found huge breakthroughs doing this, what I'll do is sometimes change the deadline, like I mentioned before, but one that seems to work even more powerfully for me and my clients is to just ask for feedback from a person whose opinion that we respect. This naturally raises the bar for me, and it causes me not to just be more focused, but also to create my best work. And when I do this, I'm actually stacking multiple flow triggers, and that compounds the flow trigger effect. See, the real power to these flow triggers isn't just in knowing them, it's in knowing them and then stacking them. When you combine multiple triggers, you actually create what I call a flow cascade. This is where one trigger naturally leads into another trigger and into another trigger, making flow state almost inevitable. So my hope is, as I've walked through these 4 flow triggers that are best for busy professionals, that it's given you some ideas of how you can utilize this for yourself. My examples might not be the perfect ones for you, but like I said, when you learn about the flow triggers and then recognize which ones work best for you, it's like unlocking your own personal peak performance vault. Of course, you guys, I can only go into so much detail on these videos. I try to keep them succinct enough and with actionable steps that you can take what you learn here and apply it today to start getting some forward movement and understanding of how powerful flow can be for you. But if you are wanting to really learn how to master flow, go ahead and, of course, click on the Flow Mastery playlist that we have. And then additionally, I will include the link to the clinically proven ways to destroy distractions. I'll put both of those in the show notes below. So look for those. And then obviously subscribe. That'll allow you to not miss out on any new information and the comprehensive videos that we will be putting out on flow and how to utilize flow for your most peak performance level. But remember, you guys, as you start applying these tools and techniques that I'm teaching you in this flow mastery episodes, just remember that flow isn't about waiting for inspiration. It's about creating the conditions that will make flow inevitable. And these 4 steps that I've taught you today will definitely help you do that. So I'd love to hear what ones worked for you, what maybe my examples inspired, and I'd love to hear your flow state experiences. Thanks, guys.